Okay, modern warfare has completely rewritten its rulebook, and it's all because of a surprisingly small piece of technology. For decades, the battlefield was entirely dominated by massive heavy machinery. We're talking tanks, jet fighters, and massive artillery. But today, the game has changed entirely. We are looking at a paradigm shift where massive armies are literally being forced to adapt to a new, tiny, and incredibly deadly predator. Today, we're unpacking the rise of FPV drones.
Okay, let's dive into this. Imagine a heavily armored steel tank. It takes years to design and costs millions of dollars to build. For a long time, these have been the absolute kings of the battlefield. Now, put that massive war machine right next to a small plastic FPV drone that costs maybe a few $100. The crazy part? That tiny, fragile piece of plastic is actually capable of taking down that tank. It's a staggering David versus Goliath asymmetry in cost and power, and it's turning modern military strategy completely upside down.
So here is our roadmap for this explainer. We'll quickly look at what an FPV drone actually is, kamikaze targets and tank hunters, battlefield advantages, weaknesses, and defenses, and finally, the future of drone warfare.
Section 1. What exactly is an FPV drone? Let's look at the origins and mechanics.
So FPV stands for first-person view. Picture this, a specialized camera mounted right on the front of the drone transmits a high-speed, live video feed directly to a pair of goggles or a monitor worn by the pilot. Because the pilot sees exactly what the drone sees in real time, it creates this immersive, virtual reality-like experience. It literally puts them right inside the cockpit of that tiny drone, steering it at incredible speeds.
Now here's the crazy part. This highly lethal military tool, it didn't originate in some top-secret defense laboratory. No way. It started out as a hobby. These drones were originally built and modified by enthusiasts just for fun, for high-speed drone racing, capturing sweeping cinematic video, and taking beautiful aerial photography.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer simplicity of it all. We're talking about a basic frame, motors, propellers, a flight controller, a video transmitter, a camera, a battery, and a radio receiver. That's the whole shebang. These are incredibly basic, easily accessible commercial parts. Anyone can order these components online and build a high-speed drone right in their living room. Moving on to Section 2, Kamikaze and Tank Hunters, how basic consumer tech became a lethal weapon.
Listen to this. A $500 drone can completely vaporize a $5 million tank. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the devastating reality of the modern battlefield, and it's exactly what's earned these tiny devices the fearsome reputation of tank hunters.
So how does this actually happen? Well, forces are modifying these racing drones into kamikaze drones. By securely attaching explosives directly to the frame, the machine itself becomes a highly maneuverable, explosive projectile. The pilot navigates via that live feed we talked about, finds the target, and literally crashes the drone right into it. Because they can be flown so precisely into weak spots, they're easily taking out massive heavy hardware, tanks, armored vehicles, fortified bunkers, and massive artillery emplacements.
But we've got to remember that beyond just sheer destruction, these drones offer another massive tactical benefit. They are the ultimate, incredibly cheap eyes in the sky. They're widely used for reconnaissance, gathering crucial intelligence without risking a single human life. They excel at tracking enemy locations in real time, monitoring vehicle movements across the battlefield, and safely assessing enemy troop strength from way up above.
All right, Section 3, Battlefield Advantages. Why are military forces around the world rapidly abandoning traditional hardware? And this brilliantly illustrates the harsh financial reality driving the whole shift. Firing a single modern guided missile, that's going to cost a military hundreds of thousands of dollars. But an FPV drone costs just a few $100. To put that into perspective, you can launch an entire fleet of these drones for a mere fraction of the cost of one traditional strike. It's a total game changer. When you add it all up, militaries have found this perfect storm. Pinpoint accuracy via direct video feed, easy mass production using commercial parts, and literally zero human risk for the operator. Imagine fighting an adversary who can strike you with absolute precision, in endless waves, while their pilot sits safely in a bunker miles and miles away. Section 4. Weaknesses and defenses. Let's look at the countermeasures against the drone threat. Now, as terrifying as they are, I want to be clear, these machines are definitely not invincible. They have some pretty critical weaknesses. Because they rely entirely on that live radio link back to the pilot's goggles, they are highly vulnerable to radio signal jamming. They also have incredibly limited battery life. We're talking often just minutes of flight time. Plus, because they're so light and fragile, severe weather like heavy wind and rain can easily ground them entirely.
To exploit those exact weaknesses, anti-drone technologies are evolving at a breakneck pace. Traditional militaries are scrambling to deploy a variety of countermeasures. They use RF jammers and GPS jammers to sever that invisible tether between the drone and the pilot, basically causing the drone to drop right out of the sky. They're also deploying specialized directional anti-drone guns, alongside advanced radar systems designed specifically to detect these small, fast-moving, and incredibly cheap threats before they ever reach their targets.
Section 5. Future Wars. The terrifying integration of artificial intelligence. Let's move to and see how this builds, because the escalation here is incredibly rapid. Right now, we are largely at Step 1, human-piloted drones. But we are rapidly pushing into Step 2, where AI assists with tracking and object recognition, locking onto targets even through signal jamming. But the true endgame? That's Step 3. Fully autonomous drones that can fly, hunt, and strike without any human input whatsoever.
And well, that autonomy unlocks a horrifying new concept: drone swarms. We are talking about hundreds or even thousands of these AI-driven machines deployed at the exact same time. They actually communicate with each other, coordinate an attack, and strike simultaneously. Every major world power is deeply interested in this right now, because a swarm of thousands of autonomous kamikaze drones would absolutely overwhelm any traditional air defense system currently in existence.
FPV drones have proven that the future of warfare belongs not just to the biggest and most expensive machines, but to the small, the cheap, and the many. As AI evolves and mass production ramps up, it leaves us with one deeply chilling question. In the wars of tomorrow, will drones outnumber human soldiers?